SaaS Therapy.
Welcome everyone to another episode of SaaS Therapy. I'm your host, Todd Kirk, and I'm joined by my illustrative and fancy, I've always come up with new qualifiers, co-host Casey Trujillo. This is the show where we talk about your most important relationships and how you can save them. Basically, how do you get better relationships with your customers? Welcome, Casey. We're glad you're here today.
Todd, this is a big feat for us today. We've gone global. Our guest today is from Tel Aviv, so we are now international superstars because of our new guest. So, Todd, introduce our guest and who we have on today.
Well, I don't know if we're superstars, but
I always try to include ourselves with other people.
But we are joined today from Guy Galon, who is a seasoned customer success executive and strategic advisor with a passion for customer engagement and building professional relationships. He's developed practical frameworks for customer success, integrating best practices from his extensive experience in software development, deployment, QA, support, pre-sales, and program management. Guy is an international mentor. He holds an MBA, a BSc in computer science, and a BA in economics, and is Prince 2 and PMP certified. In his spare time, he pursues his dream of becoming an outstanding amateur athlete, including in martial arts, running, and swimming for over 40 years. So basically, when we're talking superstars internationally, that's Guy, not us. But Guy, welcome to SaaS Therapy.
Thank you very much, guys. Pleasure to be here and honored by the very positive introduction.
Yeah, we always like to play a game to get to know you a little bit better. And I had no idea about the 40 years of swimming and running because you look like you're in such shape. You're like 30 years old. So I don't know how that's possible. But we like to ask just 3 simple questions. This gets our audience to know you a little better. It's a game that we call This or That. Now, you can only choose one of the options. You can't choose both. And it's just a very simple game, but it gets us to know a little bit more about you. So the first question is, do you prefer to binge on Netflix or just go out and see a movie?
Go out and see a movie.
All right. Okay. Are you?
I mean, if you gave me another option, I would take another option. But between those 2 options, I go out and see a movie.
I'm assuming that you're someone that doesn't use your time in that way. So I think that's why neither one of those were appealing to you. Are you one that cooks at home, or do you prefer to go have a great dining out experience?
Go out.
Okay, there's some debate on that one. You must cook at home.
I try my best, but does barbecue considered cooking?
Of course, that's a fine art.
So, I'll switch. I'll stay home and do my barbecue.
That's awesome. And the last question, are you an early adopter of technology, or are you more of a traditionalist?
I would say, unfortunately, I'm more of a traditionalist if I have to choose. Yes, I will lie to myself if I say that I'm an early adopter.
Yeah, I let Todd Kirk try everything out, and if he tells me it's good, then I try it. I'm like you. I wait a little bit.
Good. So now I know who to turn to when I need to ask about new technology.
Yeah, that's Todd.
At least if we're playing This or That, and you have to choose between asking me or Casey, yeah, I'm sure there's probably better people to ask than me, but I'm definitely better to ask than Casey for sure. Well, Guy, we're so glad you joined us today. A couple of really interesting questions come to my mind as we dive in. As I was thinking about your background and your experience, I mean, you support the client success world, but you also have a technical background in computer science. And the really hot topic these days is AI and how that is going to impact things. And I'm hearing a lot of messages in the market where some people are still super excited about AI. Some people are freaked out by it. Some people just feel like it's all still hype and there's not actually anything practical. How are things in your mind really going in the world of AI?
When I think about AI today, I'm also running back 25 years ago for the first when we started using the internet, and maybe 12, 13 years ago about the new, or maybe more. I think iPhone was launched in 2008. So things, I'm looking at some of the big disruptors that we had before, starting using the internet, then using my mobile phone, and actually having all of our life now, running from our mobile phone. And I believe, and that's just a gut feeling at the moment, that AI is going through the same direction. That will have a major impact on our lifestyle and our expectation, on our experience. Also had some moral issues and other human aspects, possibly negative impact, but it will come in. I think it will come in a bigger leaps. So internet, it took some time, very
Hmm.
slow. We had to plug, I think my phone line, either use the phone or either use the internet. As if somebody remembers that. And then we had the Yahoo or AOL as the main place to go, and then Google came. And now we just use the internet as for anything we do, from training, from career, from cooking, from doing anything, consuming entertainment, consuming everything over the internet. Mobile phone, again, we had stupid phones, and then we had smartphones, and then everything changed throughout the years, with better processors, with better technology, with, if you remember GPRS, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, everything took some time to mature. I think AI will mature much quicker. I think we already seen it in practice today, but it's different islands. Maybe B2C is more advanced. B2B is waiting for this to take a push. But I feel that this is going to make a huge impact much sooner or much quicker than, let's say, the internet and the mobile phone did 25 years ago and 15 years ago.
Guy, you bring up a great point that I want to hit on. Again, our audience is made up of customer success organizations. So we customer education, customer success managers. I think one of the things that I'm hearing in the B2B space is I have to have AI in my product, but I don't know if the advantages and features in my AI for my product are all the way there. But my management is asking me to push this out to my customers and get them to use it, but my customers aren't having the greatest experience. Guy, how do you manage that if you were, say, in a customer success role and leadership's wanting you to push your AI initiative, but you get the feedback from your customers, it's just not there yet? What are some things that you might say to your customer? How do you set the proper expectation? I guess is what I'm asking.
I, I start a bit different internally, at least where I work today, which is a cybersecurity company. And yes, we are exploring AI in different ways, but it's all behind the scene for now, at least not as a something that customers use. Um, First of all, I think we, as a company, we do need to have some story to tell customers. I don't have to promise them the world and promise things that I don't deliver, but I want to have some vision that I can say I am part of this change. I'm not a company that develops technology or practice technology, implements technology, and I have nothing to say about AI. So I would advise customer. I do it. I lead it in my organization. I kind of demanded from management, for my a product and engineering team to think together what possibly we can do within our product, within our service to promote AI. And that's now part of our roadmap slides and roadmap presentation. And we talk about a few things that we want to do internally first, which I think is also part of this approach. So don't run quickly to your customers and say, I can do this, this, and that, and have AI to maybe suggest things that are not relevant to customers yet, or don't make sense because it's a machine. And they probably it will take some time, but yeah, the machine eventually will provide good suggestions and ideas to customers, especially in cybersecurity, which I hope we will, because we have a lot of information that we can kind of digest and,
Mm.
and, and learn from for 10, 15 years of service. So it's quite a lot of information. And so I would say first one, have some strategy and vision. What do you want to do with your product, and where do you want to go with it, what eventually you want customers to feel and understand or interact with. You don't have to do it now. Think about maybe some interim milestones, especially internal. And we, for example, in where I work for, we have analysts, we have support, we have enough functions to be able to test it and see, okay, if we are going to put this engine in front of the customer and that engine will tell the customer to do A, B, and C, do we think it's the right recommendation at that point in time for a cybersecurity expert?
Mm,
And then I would say, as a third stage, when we are feeling more comfortable, I can start exposing those features first to design partners, customers that I know will tolerate maybe some mistakes. And in cybersecurity, it could be sometimes costly mistakes, so we have to be very careful, and then release it to everyone else. So that would be my approach.
I love that guy. I think so often there's product design methodologies that are applicable to so many different parts of business, not just how you develop software, but even how you implement a third party tool like AI. Maybe your organization isn't trying to develop AI into your actual products. Maybe you're trying to incorporate it just into your processes and you're using a third party tool. Regardless, you always need to start with that design methodology in place. And I love that thinking. One of the things that's been interesting to me is I've looked at AI over it feels like AI has been around forever now, right? It's become so ingrained into so many of the conversations that we have, and yet it is such a emergent technology. If you've ever heard of the Gartner hype traction model, this idea that when new technology is presented in the beginning, we have these really inflated expectations of what it can do. And then all of
mm.
a sudden we start getting into it and we realize that everything we thought it was going to be able to do is a lot harder to actually pull off. And so then
Yes.
you end up in this area of disillusionment where you're not really sure if this technology is really worth it. And in the case of AI, I think a lot of people are starting to fall from that inflated peak of
Right.
over inflated
That's true.
expectations. And so from your perspective, where were the places that you've seen with AI that people have jumped in full bore and then discovered, wow, it doesn't really work very well for that? And then maybe from your the opposite take, what would you say are the things that you're discovering that do work?
Let's start with the positive. What do work? What does work? No, no. As I mentioned B2C before. I think Amazon been doing this way or the other way. Been doing AI for a while. Some of the
Right.
recommendations there, the recommendation engine, and they learn. They have so much data to learn from. I think they are definitely ahead of the curve. Uh, you mentioned Netflix before, so sometimes I do watch Netflix, and I usually ask my wife, why do you watch this one? And she explains to me exactly why Netflix recommended that. And then when I switch between the profiles of my kids and myself and my wife, it's very clear that Netflix is also doing a lot of analysis behind the scene. They know where you are. They know what's trending in your country, in your region. What you like to see. You like to watch how for how long, binging, if you're binging or not, and that's all seems to be working well. But I think it's just the beginning. And I'll share some examples of what I will hope will happen in the future. But where I'm a bit hesitant is, for example, all of our customer success. I've been
Mm,
talking to a few startups, few uh, founders that now say, "Oh, we will do something like Gong for customer success. So we will analyze everything, we will know everything. You will be able to query the engine about the customer health or about the customer sentiment, and we will be able to tell you everything." And I think that's a hype. That's maybe we get to some kind of a degree that will work at some stage. Uh, but I'm not convinced. I still believe, a firm believer that human relationship will still stand, and us knowing, depending on the customer size and segment, if you know your customers, you should know as a customer success manager what the sentiment is, and you need a tool to help you with other things, but you cannot just rely on the tool and become a robot in the other way around. So you just follow what's being said and you trust it. So I don't trust it at the moment. I think there is a lot of subtleties that we will need to keep as humans, and see if the machine or the AI will be able to figure out as we go. So I think that in that sense of trying to figuring out what customers actually think, what humans think, it will improve over the years. But I think we need to set our expectation. It's not going to be very quick that the machine will be so accurate in predicting exactly what the customer will say, what will do, just because they know a lot and they processed a lot of insights before.
Yeah, I always say this guy is um, people lie. I know that's a crazy topic to discuss, but I don't think people intentionally mislead anyone at times. But I think in customer success, we've all had the customer that say, "Oh, this is the best thing that's ever taken place with us. We love this," and then the next month they cancel their subscription. You're like, "Wait, what happened?" We've heard the theory of the watermelon theory. It looks green on the outside, like this account's going to renew, but it's red on the inside. But no one was able to discover that, and I still believe that you need that human intuition as you're dealing with a customer and you're asking some of those thought provoking questions that you can really get a read on where someone's at. So you brought up an interesting topic about customer success. And I would say that in the customer success arena, I am hearing a lot of individuals have concerns with AI, but I don't know if they've actually looked at using it as a tool and the positives of AI. So again, going back to, I love how Todd approached this with a positive and a negative, and that's usually our approach on SaaS therapy. It's usually this and that, not this or that. We don't like to say it's one way or the other way. It's
Yeah.
probably somewhere in the middle, right? So, what are some advantages that you see customer success could be taking advantage of with AI as it progresses? And then you talked about some of the warnings to leadership of, hey, don't think that this can replace all of your CS team. So maybe some positives you see that maybe CS hasn't thought about in ways it could help them as that tool, and then some other concerns that you might have for CS in particular, and where they might be thinking that AI is going to do way more than what it actually can do.
One of the trends that we've been speaking customer success in recent years is automation. So you want to automate as much as possible because you can do things faster, more efficient, more effective, maybe scale and not having to increase a headcount. Uh, when I try to combine that with AI, I'm thinking about playbooks that today I
Mm,
possibly automate or try to automate, and maybe, yeah, I believe in the future certain playbooks AI we can govern, by the way, with certain limitations, with certain thresholds, with points that customer success will human customer success manager will need to intervene. But I do see automated playbooks, not just okay, let's send him a link, or let's send him an article to read, but something which is much more interactive. Okay, I mean, we all seen avatars today that speak to you in a human language. There will be a lot of, I think, ways to interact very nicely, hopefully effectively with customers, which customer success can govern. You can govern. You can design the playbook as a human. You can put the right guardrails or the thresholds, and you can control it while some of the playbooks can run, and you can help you to scale. So I think that's an area that I would expect to be heavily improved with AI. Another one, which is onboarding, which we always say, oh, that's,
mm,
don't do a good onboarding, good chances that the customer is not starting very well, and you have increases your chances for churn. So, some of those onboardings will be automated. Some of those onboardings will be, I think, can be governed by a process that can see and recommend the customers more proactively. So if I manage now 50 customers today and I have to go to a dashboard and look at certain things to tell the customer, okay, this is what you need to do, I assume and I believe those things can be done in a more AI fashion based on experience that we had, based on things that maybe I don't know is because my friend or my colleague didn't share, but AI knows because it keeps learning all the time from everyone. So I think those, let's say these two plus the support, which we all know today gets much more
right.
AI driven bots. So the bots today are relatively, let's say, simple. The bot that I have with my bank is, sorry to say, stupid. So after three questions, okay, we'll redirect you to a human agent, and that's what happens with my airline, with my insurance company, and with the bank. It's always the case. So there will be some improvements, and again, I don't think support profession will disappear. It will You will have more experts that will deal with
Right.
those. Now it's 80%, it will be the 20% that will be more complicated, or you will need to verify and tune what AI are recommending, or try to spot or do the quality assurance, and other things that you need as you govern the process and the technology.
You know, Guy, I have this. Casey makes this joke where I'm the Todd bot because I like to summarize things. But one of the things that
Go
stuck
ahead.
out to me as you're talking here, I think, a lot of people might have started listening to this episode and immediately jumped to the conclusion that, like, oh, well, this is all just, we're all going to be talking. When we say AI, it's almost become synonymous with Chat GPT. Everybody just thinks of AI as generative AI, where we're
Generative, yeah.
producing content. But what I like about the fact that when you talk about AI, it sounds like you're talking in a more broad sense. Of There's a lot of AI that's been around a long time. Recommendation engines inside of Amazon, as an example, chatbots that you talk with your bank, even though they're dumb. But Gen AI is just one flavor of AI. And if you're looking more holistically, there are things that we can do to automate and to scale, and that either traditional AIs, which are very process driven, or generative AI, which is using more of these large language models, all of them can be impactful if used the right way. But we don't want to sacrifice the human element. And so, what I'd be curious of, by the way, I don't know if that's a good summary of what we've been talking about so far. Like I said,
No,
Todd
it's a
Bot.
good, very good one.
Yeah, thanks, Guy.
Todd.
I need the validation every once in a while. Thank you. But one of the things that sticks out to me is, there are things that machines are really good at, but there are things that humans are really good at. So, what are the things that, if you are a CSM as a human, you should hold on to and say, I need to get really good at this skill because I know that it gives me the longest runway to stay ahead of the
Mhm.
machine. So I'd be curious, what's your take there, Guy?
Wow, I think it's not just a CSM question. I think it's a more a broad question.
Yeah,
But
broad,
but I
yeah,
I,
broad
I
human
do.
question.
I think I'll start with a broader aspect, and then let's dive to CS. I think generally, and I feel it on myself. As I said, I'm not. I admit that I'm not a technology early adopter, but I fight it, and I think that, and I kind of challenge myself all the time. And so I think generally, as professionals, humans, I would like us to be curious all the time. So we have new technology, we have new disruptor coming, but okay, but that has some very positive aspects to our life that we need to endorse, and think, because we have a brain, so we can think about what we want to keep and what we want to sublet or subcontract to the AI. So that's generally, and then you're curious, and then you want to step out from your comfort zone generally and see, what I don't want to be afraid of that. I want to see what can I can do it. And then you mentioned generative AI, so now it's open everyone's mind. Oh, I can write a post on LinkedIn or an article because can just ask ChatGPT to write it for me. I'm writing a lot in LinkedIn and I hate it. So every time I do my post or article, I put it in ChatGPT and I compare so far, and maybe I'm uh, biased. I think mine's are better. But it will improve for sure. And with the designing images and so on. So there's a lot of things that you can do that will help you to be better professional, as long as you, I think, balance those human qualities with what AI or Gen AI can provide. Now, specifically for customer success, I think it's, again, some kind of, you said let's not end something or something else. I would say we can do both. So can Gen AI can help me to write emails to my customers, or suggest a template for escalation email or other topics? Yes, why not? But I want to be judgmental and see, okay, is this exactly what I need for this customer? Because maybe we spoke 2 weeks ago, so I have to relate to what they said. So maybe it will save some time, and maybe in a different language, although I'll be careful with that because, okay, I
Right.
don't know German and I have customers in Germany. Will I take something in English and ask a generative AI to produce the same in German, and then I trust it? Or I have to copy it back to Google and check, what exactly was written? But so I think we just need to find the right balance. And then I think if we go back to generally to QBRs, for example, or managing customers generally, so yeah, maybe AI will help me to produce some very nice images, or things that will customer really like, or maybe I have in the future a AI in my product that I can query and ask some recommendations for this customer, regardless if the customer use that recommendation engine or not, and I will provide it to the customer and I say, yeah, it's a
Mm,
combination of my recommendations and our AI capabilities that
I like
keeps
that.
checking what you do. So I do believe, like with any technology, we're losing something, but we can improve our professionalism at the same time. But there are certain things that I told you before we started recording. I like writing, so I don't want to take these skills away from myself. Somehow, I want to still write and not kind of being tempted to just copy paste from an AI engine. But that's again going back to the personal flavor.
For me, Guy, I think Todd said this to me is that AI right now is helping me become a greater creator of what I want. So it can take on those mundane tasks and leave me more time to create what I want to create. I don't have to spend so much time there. So it's actually enabling me to be a better person. I love the idea for me where I've tried to set my priorities is being a better communicator, being a better listener, being able to understand um, the feeling behind the comments that people are giving me, using and tapping in more into my human soul that I have that makes me unique, and use those qualities that I have to be able to ask a thought provoking question and then see someone's face and be able to try to understand the feeling behind it. So for me, I'm trying to double down into the unique qualities that make me a human being and understand that and bring people together. So I'm trying to get better at my question asking. I'm trying to get better in my active listening, nonverbal cues, different things like that. So, Guy, I love the comment that you made of saying, here are the recommendations I'm giving to you, but here's also some recommendations that our AI came up with. I love that ability to say, hey, I'm using AI, but I'm also bringing to the table what makes me unique. And let's discuss together where you think these recommendations sit. I thought that was very profound. Is there any other thoughts that you have and how we can work together with AI and some other thoughts? I thought that was unique in saying that recommendations. What else have you been seeing out there or recommendations you might have and how I can bring what makes me unique, but I can also bring with me the AI as my companion and bring that along. Any other recommendations you might have with that?
Uh, Not maybe not specific, but I do think that especially in the early days where we get some kind of recommendation engine like that, I would like to see customer success managers or anyone who deals with customers being, I would say, judgmental to AI, being criticizing it, trying to define what the limits are, at least to begin with. Because if I know what the limits are, I can also apply it and talk to my customers as well. So if just we take the QBR, for example, because we spoke before about that as well, this is also a good way for me to promote an AI capabilities. So let's say I'm in
Yeah.
stage 4. We already tried it internally. I know it works. I know it's good. Now, how do I promote it with my customers? Okay, next QBR or next service review. I want to put in front of them my recommendations, but also the AI recommendations. That's not diminishing my value to the customer. It's augmenting or providing more value because this is what happens. AI is supposed to allow us to provide more value to our customers. So I think that's definitely something that I would like to see customer success manager, any professional, to be more criticizing and thinking, that's not, done deal. We always have some work to do. Um, I still thinking about how much AI can help me to manage the relationship with my customers. So that's,
Mm.
you mentioned the relationship. All my life I built relationship with customers and with people. This is what I really like to do. And then I keep asking myself, can AI help me and say, with this, based on the engagement that you have with this customer, to the extent that AI knows everything, because if I meet face to face, how much the AI knows about it. Uh, you can think about my phone using an app and recording everything, but that's something that actually triggers me. It triggers my thought. What will happen? Can AI help me to better manage my relationship with customers? Can they tell me something that I don't know? Because you mentioned the cues and maybe the non-verbal communication. Can AI do that and help me to increase something that somehow I missed? Because we're humans, we miss cues, we miss certain elements of in communication. Sometimes we don't hear very well because we are doing something else and somebody speaks and we missed a very important point. So that's a promise that I'm interested to see, and I would be interesting to experiment with.
I really like that mindset with AI. I think one of the things that I see too often is people are asking the question, what, and they're basically asking it like this: What can AI do? What can AI do for me? Rather than how can AI help enhance me? And I think that very subtle mindset shift, the way you're talking about it, Guy, can be a really big deal because if you're outsourcing your capabilities to the AI, then it's now replacing you. If you're using it to enhance you and make you a better person and a better employee and a better CSM, if that's the audience we're talking to, then that's a totally different ballgame. And so the way you do that is you don't just like type in a prompt and hit go and then don't think about it anymore, or you don't just like set a rule and then look at it and accept it at face value. You have to engage all of your critical faculties as a human to basically examine if the outputs they gave were good, and then that way you are taking whatever it gave you as a resource to enhance your own capabilities rather than just giving it over to the machine and saying, I don't have to think about this anymore. You should
Right.
be engaging your brain even more when you're using AI than you did before you had AI.
Uh,
Is that a fair restatement?
Yeah, it's a fair statement, and I forgot to mention it before. The example that I always give is uh, smartphones and navigation app. So my son, I think 7, 8 years ago, was astonished that I took what you used to call A to Z map. I look at the map and then I navigated, for 20 minutes somewhere around not far from where I live. And today, when I think about it, that was the last time that I did it. Since then, I always type the address in my mobile phone. I think I lost some of my uh, navigation skills. Okay, now I travel quite a lot. I land somewhere. I open my mobile phone. What happens if my mobile phone is not is has a problem? How will I manage? Of course, I will manage eventually, but I don't want to be there in 5 or 10 years with AI, knowing that I lost another important skill set.
For me, Todd, what I do is we use a call recording software. And so after I get done with the call, obviously the call recording software generates, through AI, says, hey, here are the important topics. Here's how people felt. I'll actually click on the link and go back to those spots and watch the person's face as they're explaining it. And sometimes, yeah, they nailed it. Yeah, the AI was fantastic, but other things they missed some cues that I'm like, no, that's not what they were meaning. That was off. So for me, I use it as a help that says, okay, here's some areas that were call outs. That's usually pretty solid. But then I'm looking to see the reaction of the person as they're saying that. And so, yeah, that is definitely one for me, Todd, that I'm always looking at. Guy, I'm interested as you guys start to come out with, because you mentioned you're in cybersecurity, you're coming out with your AI. What approach will you take in releasing AI? Will you slowly release it and it'll just be in the background and you'll get some feedback from users? Will you call it beta version of AI, or will you actually charge for your AI and make it very limited? I've seen SaaS vendors do all of the gamut of where they said, hey, you have to spend X amount to get access to our AI. I've seen people just slowly release it and get feedback through the product. And then I've others say, hey, this is beta AI. We want to get your feedback so you know what you're getting into. What approach do you think you'll take? Or you take a little bit of all three? Or if you were to guess, what do you think you'll do?
First of all, I do need to increase the prioritization inside my company to make sure that we will have something to release even as a beta. So that's the basics that I first have to promote. I would, as I mentioned before, I would test it internally. When I feel I'm comfortable, I would select the design partners that I trust. I will give it to them for free, um, for let's say a certain period of time. I would not give it as a a blank check. Say from this moment on, it's yours. But I'll get some feedback. If I see that's very useful, I get their feedback. I can see what they do, and I can see that it adds value. Then we will. Uh, I believe it will not be for free, but it could be for them or for the ones that the early adopters. It will be a, let's say, a marginal fee. And if we feel that this is a game changer, then yes, I think I will charge for it, or at least I will find a way to kind of package it in a way that customers will choose to use it in the way that we put our offering in place. I don't know if I would say, yeah, it's going to be for free of charge because everyone's doing it. Okay, but everyone's doing it, but everyone's putting a lot of effort to develop something that makes sense and adds value. So if I was developing a different major change in my product that will give customers a lot of value, I mean, I don't think I would just do it and not even consider, at least consider, if I can charge premium for that. So it's something that I consider, but it very much depends if I can show and I can provide additional value to customers.
I think that's an important call out, and I love your kind of value focused. Is this providing an ROI first? Right. I think
In
not every
cybersecurity,
organ.
it's a bit different. ROI, but can I do things better? Can they reduce the risk? Can they
Mhm.
be more effective and efficient in protecting their organization? If the answer is yes, it's value.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's a really good point. You talk a lot about, or we've talked a lot about how AI can make us better. We've talked a little bit about where AI has been overinflated from expectations. I want to take this in the dark direction, Guy, if we could, since we've been talking for so positive about AI for a little while. What would you say are the risks, they be unforeseen or foreseen, with AI that we should be thinking about to ensure that we don't go step on a landmine that's going to make our experiences for our customers worse, or negatively impact our companies?
Uh, First of all, the AI is based on data. So is the data qualified? Is the data clean? Is the data biased? I don't know if we have all the answers to that. I mean, I can always think, I'm biased, I'm human, I'm biased, but maybe the machine is the same as me. They read data, they process data. Are they biased as well? So we need to take some factor of, they are not 100% true, correct all the time. So that's one area that I think we will gradually and come to terms with, what the machine or what the algorithms will expose us to. Second thing, which and I don't remember exactly when it was when I heard about in Hollywood, the films creators, the film script writers were very raging about AI and that will happen. So I think AI eventually will create a script or a book or a movie based on what? Based on somebody else's IP and art, intellectual property. So how we manage that? Can AI will be able to tag, I don't know, 5 books, 5 scripts, and 2 movies, and say, I combined all of this together, and then you have something else, but somebody will get royalties for that or not. But I think definitely a minefield for AI. And as I said before, the creativity, how much me as a person, I want to subcontract things to AI and be better, and how much I'm trying to be careful and protect my own intellectual property, my own strengths that I wanna maintain and keep, and balance it properly with the capabilities that AI can provide.
Well, he didn't go Terminator on us. He didn't say that AI was going to cause World War III. So that's good.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
kept it realistic there.
I
I think
try
that
to
was
keep
good.
it realistic. Yeah. I mean, I saw iRobot 15 years ago, but I don't believe
Yeah.
it will happen. I mean, Will Smith is still good. I don't know about all the iRobots there in the movie. He's still around.
So solid. Uh, Guys, so this has been a great conversation around AI, and I think we've done a lot of good things in covering different topics. Hopefully, we've eased some fear with individuals. We've made them more curious to go look at AI and try to understand that. You've given great understanding and principles that it's our companion, not our master, right? If we continue to develop our skill set, um, Guy, what else have we not covered about AI that we should have covered?
I will maybe say something again more generic, but when I analyze changes, when I work with my customers, I always say people, process, technology. Everything, something changes, the other thing changes as well. So AI is definitely a major change in the, let's say, the triangle between process, people, process, technology. So one of the vertex moved a bit far away, and now we need to adjust. So, adjust means I need to adjust as a person, people, my mindset. As I said, let's be more curious. Let's try to understand. Let's not fear. And I need to change processes. And if you take the example I gave in the beginning, internet and mobile phone, you change as a person, you changed your processes, you change your behavior to adjust to technology. I think that will happen here as well, faster, and we just need to be a bit, I think, more cautious about potential impact that it will come. So that's the theory that I like, or the framework that I like to use, and I think I can apply it here as well.
Love that guy. Well, this has been a really enlightening conversation for me as we've really tried to explore AI. I think from a little bit of a unique angle from what I normally hear people do. Like I said, most of the time people are trying to think about AI just from the perspective of how do I sell it and how do I make it so I don't have to do as much. As in we're trying to make it so that I don't have to do the job anymore because the computer can. And that isn't the right mindset to take. And so I've loved this because I think so many people in the SaaS world are trying to grapple with and figure out what's going to work best for them.
Yeah.
As we kind of move to conclude this conversation today, I think one of the most important things for us to consider is AI. There's risks associated with AI. There's benefits associated with AI. And there's impacts to the company, and there's impacts to me personally, and there's impacts to the customer. And I guess the last question maybe I would have for you as we kind of wrap up this conversation about AI specifically is, where should my priority be right now? If should I be worried more about how it's going to impact me, how it impacts my customer, or how it impacts my company? How do you wrestle with and balance your priorities as you think about AI from that perspective?
It's a good question that I know I can give you my really honest opinion. I start with first of with how it impacts me and what I can influence, because I want to know more about it. I know what is in my with my ability to influence or change or learn. Um, See how my company sees it, and I see different people with different ideas. And I'm really in favor of trying to be proactive and tell my customers what we are planning to do and what we are going to do about it. My At least the experience that I had in the last say 12 months, not all customers have an opinion. They just heard about it, like many other people do. Most people don't deep dive into it, so I don't expect them to tell me what. I mean, of course they can, but it's not that I rely on them to tell me how should I look at AI. I want to have my own perspective as a professional, as a person. I want to bring it to my company, bring something which makes sense to us because we know our domain, we know our product, we know what value we deliver, and then bulletproof it or verify it or validate it in a very early stage with my customers. And then, I mean, that's just my own path that I think I would follow.
Guy,
Oh,
I
Oh
think
yeah.
that was a great summary of where we're at with this. And this is called SaaS therapy. And for those that have ever been to a therapy session, the therapist always says, okay, this is what we're going to work on until we come back, until the next time we meet. So, Guy, we always end every episode with this. If there is one action item, one homework assignment you would give our audience today, what would that assignment be?
ooh, I would tell them go and do 10K run, but that's just my my own personal
AI is not going to help me with
and
that with
AI
that
and
taking.
AI will not be able to replace that, at least as far as I can see.
Right.
Um, but I would definitely ask them to challenge themselves, not be fixed, mind fixed. Whatever they say, yeah,
Hmm.
it's the best thing, or I don't want to get any closer to it. Be open minded. There's a lot of information. There are a lot of articles. There are a lot of clips, videos, webinars. And many people from different disciplines talk about it. You're in technology company. That's part of your path. Don't
Right.
ignore it. Just
Right.
embrace it, read about it, and figure out to yourself, because we're in the middle of a disruption, so we don't have all the answers. So figure out for yourself what makes sense personally and professionally, and then work out the next steps.
I love it. And I would add to it, I'm going to give my own homework assignment with guys and say, have realistic expectations. Like you said at the beginning, Guy, things progress. The internet came out and you're like, oh my gosh, I can only download one song and I have to keep it on overnight to download a song, right? And now instantaneously we listen to whatever song we want. Things will get better. This will become amazing at some point, but
I
it's
agree.
not there yet. And so understand it, be curious, keep learning, and set the right expectations for yourself, for your customers, for your business. And I think if you do so, you will find that AI will be a good companion to you. So, Guy, thank you again for joining us. It was awesome having you
Thank you
on.
very much, Casey. Thank you very much, Kirk. But by the way, one more thing about therapy. Think about it.
Yeah.
You will be able to? I mean, I think about 5 years from now, we'll have AI that will do a therapy to us because they know enough to be able to interact with us. I hope not, but who
Yeah.
knows, right? Something to think about.
That's a great ending thought. Guy, thank you. And thank our audience for being here with us
Thank you very
today.
much.
SaaS Therapy is brought to you by Brainstorm, the SaaS platform for SaaS adoption. Learn more at brainstorminc.com.